Yo, what's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about KGF Chapter 2. So, I haven't given any spoiler reviews yet because I was waiting for you guys to watch it. So I think most of you have watched it by now. If you haven't watched it, then this video will contain spoilers. Okay, so this is your spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, watch the movie first and then come back to watch my review. Okay, so this video is gonna have spoilers. I'm gonna talk about this movie in in extreme detail, and I'm gonna tell you guys what I thought of the movie. 100% transparency. I'll tell you what I liked about it. I'll tell you what I thought could be better, and I'm gonna give you like a full detailed reason of why it's good, why parts of it could have been a little bit different. But I also appreciate that this movie is complete the way it is. If anybody thought this movie was not meeting expectations, it's because they had a specific expectation, and I'm gonna talk about all of that. So before you guys switch off, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. If you're just here for the rating, I'll give it a 4.5, and I'll tell you why starting now. Okay, so you guys have had your spoiler alert, and I'll tell you why it's a 4.5 in my view. You guys know that I'm a big KGF fan, and I'm also a big fan of honesty and transparency. So let's get right into it. So I went into the movies and I was expecting a lot from this movie because of the trailers, because of the music, because of everything, the background music, everything. So as soon as the movie started, one of our theories, I'm not going to say it was my theory because I know that many people had been talking about it, is that the narrator is actually the son of the previous narrator. Let me just get the names over here right so that I can speak to it properly. So when I saw the cast, I saw that the names were very similar. Okay, so it was saying what's his name, Anand Ingalagi, and then it also said Vijayendra Ingalagi. So just because of the cast name, not the cast, but the character names, I knew that they were family, and I figured it was father and son. So that was one of the suspicions that we had. Everybody I talked to, we came to the conclusion that the narrator would be the son. So that was the first thing that, got ticked off my list. I was like, oh, yes. Okay. So the beginning of the movie was nice because it picked up where KGF 1 left off and everything was going smoothly. And then we saw, Rocky's entry scene. Amazing. The way they did the entry scene where, like he opens the door and reveals his name, Rocking Star, Yash, everything was going smoothly. Until one thing happened. Rocky showed a different personality, and here is where many people got confused a little bit, and some got frustrated and some didn't like it. So as soon as we saw Rocky treating Rina as entertainment and being such a rude person towards her, who in the end of KGF chapter 1, we saw that she fell in love with him already. So when I saw that, I was like, oh no, that's not what I want from Rocky. But then here's where many people did something wrong. I'm gonna tell you what happened psychologically with many people. When you go on a date and it's the first time you're talking to a lady, and then you see something in her teeth, and you're like, you focus on her teeth. She has beans in her teeth, or she has something in her, something over there that is that is very disappointing to you. So that first impression that you have, it turns into kind of like a frustration, and that's where many people cannot look past that. So that was the first impression, first impact, and many people when they saw Rocky with a different personality. I'm doing air quotes because different personality, I'll get into that. So when people saw that, they were like, "Ah, come on. This is not connecting to his behavior in the beginning." So people did not connect with Rocky like they were expecting. So remember, I'm saying expectation. I'm not saying quality, okay? Because people's expectation is different from the reality. So that's where I was like, no, Rocky cannot treat Rina like this. I thought they had a connection at the end of KGF chapter 1. Okay, now here's where my theory comes into play. When I saw that, I didn't like it much, but then I have enough maturity to understand that that's just part of the first impression. And many people did not have this maturity watching KGF chapter 2. They straight up gave up on the date, and they kept looking at that bean, and they didn't surpass that emotion. They were stuck in that moment of thinking, oh no, this is going somewhere that I thought it was going. You know, people wanted it to go this way, and it's going this way. It's disappointing. My whole day is ruined. You know, that's how people had the approach to it. But people who are mature, what they thought was, you know what? I'm going to ignore that part, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of the night. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the movie. And those people loved KGF, okay? Now, let's go to the theories. There are basically 3 theories over here, okay, that I want to talk about. The first theory is that the first narrator, what's his name? Anant Nag. So Anand, the first narrator, he was talking about Rocky at the end of KGF chapter 1 as if he was the savior of KGF. Now, if you guys pay attention to the promo that was in Homebody Films, the KGF 2 promo, you're gonna see one thing. Let me see if I can find it over here. I actually reacted to it, but I should have separated this before, right? Anyways, I'm not prepared for this. I was just so excited to talk about this. But there was a shorts that said savior or successor. So you know that in KGF chapter 1, the end of the movie, he was like the savior of KGF. And in the beginning of KGF chapter 2, or in the middle of KGF chapter 2, he was actually compared to Garuda. So if you see the promo, sorry, of KGF, you're gonna see that it says savior or successor. I'm trying to. That's me talking to Yash. Let me just find this, guys. I'm so not prepared for like showing you videos, but I should have, you know, separated these promos that I wanted to show you guys. Here it is. 1 day left for the KGF trailer. Okay, so over here, let me pull it up for you guys. You guys know that I love doing this live as well because, okay, where is it? Yes, you may come in. Here we go. So it says in the promo, savior or successor. Okay, so we see that Prashant Neel is clearly aware that KGF chapter 1, many people thought he was going to be the savior. And in KGF chapter 2, he wanted to put a twist to it as, you know, the successor of Garuda. So you can clearly see that this was his intention all along from the promo, savior or successor, which is the new hero or villain. So when you go into KGF chapter 2 thinking he's the hero, that's where you're wrong. And here's where the theory comes in. I'm not confirming this, but this is where the theory comes in. In the beginning, chapter 1, Anand was the narrator. In this movie, he suffered a heart attack and he's in a coma, and his son says only he can narrate it. However, his son did not read the book, or he was hesitant. He didn't want to read the book. He didn't want to read that. So he was telling his version. So we can clearly see that there are two narrations here. One of Anand, who thinks Rocky is the savior, and the other one of Vijay Endra, who thinks Rocky is the successor. So what we can see in KGF is that it's a story that's been narrated by somebody. So there are different point of views here. So we can't trust the storytelling until we see that Anand wakes up in chapter 3 and confirms the story. So everything that happened in chapter 2 may be the perspective of Vijay Endra and may be only a piece of misinformation. So that's why when we see Rocky, he has a quote unquote different personality. However, he does not have a different personality. There is no continuation of savior personality at the end of chapter 1 to the beginning of chapter 2, where he's still the savior. That connection is not made immediately. It is told throughout the movie. You know, when he's building KGF, we can see glimpses of that. However, what we do see is a reset of KGF's, a reset of Rocky's character. So he goes straight back to being who he was in the beginning of KGF chapter 1. So he doesn't continue being that sensitive guy who fell in love with Rina, who was willing to sacrifice himself. In chapter 1, he was going to give himself up, which means he was going to put his promise in risk. You know, when Garuda asked who is the assassin, or you know, he was gonna give himself in until this other guy sacrificed himself, because he knew that Rocky could save his pregnant wife. So Rocky was willing to give himself in. Rocky also risked his cover being blown to save a blind man. So at the end of chapter 1, Rocky was savior. He did have a character arc where he changed completely. He was not this egotistic, rough, ruthless criminal. He was not that anymore. He had evolved. He was in love with Rina, kind of. Actually, Rina was more in love with him because she called him her man. He had this savior mentality where he thought, I'm gonna save these people, you know, and he was willing to sacrifice himself for them. You know, you can see that he saved the blind man, he saved the woman. As soon as he picked up the baby, you could see that he was like the chosen one. However, that's the end of chapter 1. He has come to save us. Banda, 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 you know, he has come to save us. But in the beginning of chapter 2, he wasn't a savior anymore. He was a criminal mistreating Rina, and Rina started hating him because of the way he treated her, and he killed the guy who's protecting her integrity, you know. So when we see these things happening, we immediately disassociate Rocky as the savior. Now, as I said, that could happen because the narrator had a different perspective. So people who have the maturity to understand what was happening and see that Prashant Neel wanted to give us that twist, they enjoyed the rest of the movie. Immediately when I saw this, I was like, oh, I don't want Rocky to treat Rina like that. I want them to be in love. But then I thought, what was the success of chapter 1? You know, the typhoon, Rocky Bhai hitting everybody, killing people. That was like the violence was what made us, you know, associate. Rocky is the typhoon. You can't stop the typhoon. So Prashant Neel thought, I'm gonna bring that character back, the violent, ruthless, funny type of, you know, kind of like that anti-hero, that villain type of character. And that's what people liked, so we're going to give more of that to Rocky. So Rocky had a different character arc in chapter 2. where he was blinded by his power to the point that he thought that he could chase Rina, kill everybody, and, you know, bring her back. He was so delusional that he got shot. He had to go through recovery. And even though he was, you know, getting this taste of humbleness, he was still strategic enough to go to Dubai and, you know, still conduct business and give us another plot twist. So he had a different arc. He was on top of the world, and then he fell, and then all of Rocky's achievements came crashing down when he saw the love of his life, you know, so vulnerable in the most important moment of his life, when we were gonna see baby Rocky. Now let's talk about that scene. That scene was emotional. It was surprising, but the way it was written, it makes me think of two things. The first one, is it just a dream that Rina had? Or is it just the point of view of the narrator? Because he didn't technically read the book, so, you know, there are stories in the book, especially in chapter 3, that could confirm that that never happened. The same thing with the ending, where Rocky was seen in the ocean. Was he actually dead? We don't know. He was in one piece. I didn't see any blood. I just saw him floating amongst the gold. That could have been one of his strategies. Another thing, that could have been a dream. Another thing, that could have been the narrator's point of view. So there are many theories going on. You guys can see I'm excited about this. I love the movie. However, many people did not understand the fact that this was a narration. So people, when they narrate something, they change, you know, details. So that's what I understood about that. Let's talk about another thing that I found a little bit odd. There is a new character, which is, I believe he's a Tamil actor. His name is Saran Shakti. So hear me out. Why would you or Prashant Neel bring a character for the first half of the movie, make us learn about him, make us learn about his mother, you know, make him a very courageous guy, make him a very, you know, a man full of integrity and bravery. Show us that he could be the next Rocky, right? Because, you know, he looks like Rocky a little bit, a younger version. And, you know, we see him going to the front line. And then his scene was amazing when Adira came in. So Adira's entry scene, his interaction with Adira was amazing. And then he had a sword to his neck. Okay, so why would you bring a character like that looks so much like a main character just to kill him? That's odd, isn't it? And then his mother comes in and says they killed him. She says that. We never see him die. She says it. So it's from her point of view, her perspective. And then when, you know, she tells Rocky that she would give everything just to see him again. So a mother that is, you know, her last wish is to see her son again. And then when she sees him, his body, she never unveils his face. She never reveals his face. She never removes the cloth from his face. Now you can tell me, maybe she didn't want to feel the pain, but why would you not show him die? Why would you not show him, you know, reveal his face? So I don't think he's dead. I don't think that at all. I think he's going to play a huge part in chapter 3. Why would Rocky, actually not Rocky, but Yash, why would Yash talk about this up and coming Tamil actor? Why would he give him praise? He's going to be in chapter 3, I'm sure of it. So I don't think he died either. So from the deaths that I saw, these are my theories now. I don't think they died. So so for the people who are saying, wow, they put in a new character just to kill him. You know, what was the point? I don't think he's dead. They didn't reveal his face. Okay, now let's talk about the background music. Many people wanted more music, you know, but I think that if you want to maintain the essence of chapter 1, then, you know, remix and bringing you know, that type of feel of KGF chapter 1 is a good way to go. A little bit like Star Wars. Star Wars doesn't have a new soundtrack. You know, they use the same one, which is epic. So I think maintaining the same background music, making slight adjustments, and keeping that feel is a good idea. And I think Prashant Neel did a great work. The editing, I thought it was amazing. You know, fast-paced, not as fast as chapter 1, not as many cuts. There were many scenes that were long, especially when Rocky was talking in the beginning. It was like, I think maybe 30 seconds without a cut where he was just talking, but that was to build suspense. The fact that this was edited by a 19-year-old kid is just, you know, amazing. Not only the fact that he's very talented, but the fact that, you know, he had this opportunity. So you see that India is the real land of opportunity. If you have enough talent, if you have enough love for the craft, then you can get the opportunity to, you know, work with your what you call it, your favorite actors, your favorite directors. So that's amazing. But my favorite part of the editing was the chase scene, the car chase scene with Rocky going after Rina, because the way they did it, it looked so synchronized with the audio, with the score. You know, black. It felt like a music video when we were watching it, and many people have been comparing or giving like a little bit of a hint that felt like Mad Max, and I agree. That scene in particular felt like Mad Max, just a little bit, because of the whole sandstorm, you know, him brushing the mirror and seeing Rocky. So I think that part was spectacular. It was one of the parts that gave me goosebumps because of the editing style. It was synchronized with the audio. So many people will be annoyed because of the black screens, but you need to watch that scene with your eyes and ears. You need to listen and watch. That's why it's so spectacular. Okay, in terms of cinematography, I loved all of the color grading that they used. I actually thought that they used a lot of different color keys that made it feel like you're watching something epic. You know, the way they did the you know, the temperature of the colors, everything was really epic. The quality was no less than Hollywood. It was the same level of Hollywood. The rain scenes was amazing. It reminded me of Sin City. It reminded me of the Matrix Revolutions. The pouring rain. If you guys know anything about movie making, rain is hard to capture. It's hard to capture rain with, you know, with the lenses that we have. So you need a great amount of water to get that scene, and they did it amazingly. You know, it was just one of the most amazing fight scenes in rain that I've seen. We also got to see Adira with Rocky. You know, at first they were fighting and I was like, oh, are they not going to fight with the hammer? But then Rocky, at his, you know, abyss, he found the hammer once again. So you see that the hero was falling, and then he found that that thing that could give him, you know, the motivation, which was his hammer. And then we got to see a hammer with a sword scene, and that's where Rocky went berserk. That's where he lost his ground. That's where nothing else mattered, because he lost his wife and son or daughter at the same time. So he went berserk. So that's a Rocky that is more than a gangster. It's a monster. So amazing. You You know, Rocky with the invisible machine gun, you know, very sarcastic. I like that. The dialogues, you know, many people did not feel the dialogue because of the language, but when you see Rocky's character, you know, delivering that dialogue with that voice, you know, the thick voice, with the timing, the swag. This movie is all about swag. You will love it. The only thing that I did not like very much, but I think that it was a smart move, was Rena was hating Rocky. And then at no point, well, there was a few looks and, you know, there was a few moments that you thought, okay, Rena still likes him. You know, he was slowly gaining her respect. Like, she asked for a fan, she was hot, she got a helicopter to to cool her down. But it felt a little bit sudden that she fell in love with him. You know, like, all is forgiven and I love you. The fact that she used Rocky's line, "Congratulations, I love you," is amazing because it's a reference to chapter 1. But there's also a reason behind this. I think Prashant Neel and Yash, they wanted to kind of do it. It felt like a Bollywood scene. You know, it felt like one of those scenes in Bollywood where suddenly the woman falls in love. So I think he put that scene in like that to kind of like adapt a little bit to the taste of those who like Bollywood, because this scene is very typical in a Bollywood movie. So I think he wanted to, you know, kind of like balance the taste of movies, you know, for those who are used to watching Bollywood movies. I think he wanted to kind of like please a little bit here and a little bit there, you know. So I think that worked well. So many people who are not used to pure action would tell you, I really like that scene, and it was a nice scene. It was a beautiful scene. The only problem I have with it is not the fact that it was a romantic scene. The only problem that I have with it was that I didn't see the reaction on Rena when she fell in love. Like, what was the pinnacle point that made her fall in love? What was the action that, you know, made her fall in love? Because in chapter 1 I saw that, but and she already loved him. So when was the pinpointed moment that she fell in love? I didn't see that part. It felt sudden. But then again, maturity when watching a movie makes you understand that the director had a different vision than yours. But when you're immature watching a movie, you think, I don't like it, and then you despise it, and you don't see anything good from it, you know. But when you have maturity watching it, you're like, I don't like that part, but then again, I can understand this part. You know, it's not about what you had expected. It's about what the director wants, you know, the direction the director wants to go and how he achieved it. So honestly, I wanted to see Rocky as the savior, but that was not the direction the Prashant Neel wanted to take. He wanted to take the successor route to show how Rocky has become and, you know, what led to his, you know, demise. So I'm not saying this route is bad. I'm just saying it's a good route for what he wanted to do. He achieved everything he set out to do. Prashant Neel did a very good job. It's not because I wanted this that this isn't good. Do you understand? Both are good. Successor and savior. Both are good. So when you have the maturity to understand that not everything is your choice, then you enjoy both. So I really enjoyed this movie. So I give it a 4.5 because there were a few connections that were missing in terms of how Rena fell in love, in terms of the behavior, but then I explained why that would happen in a movie. Another thing that happened that there was like a logic. Everything has logic, you know, everything is done for a reason. So the way they made this movie had a connection that you will understand when you think about the director's view. Okay? So another thing is that all of these gaps that Prashant Neel left, he only left these gaps because he's going to fill it in chapter 3. So that's another thing. When you see something and you're like, oh, but why did this happen? When you watch this movie and you still have questions, it's not because it was the fault of the director. No, it's because this will be answered in chapter 3. So all of the questions and doubts that you have, it will come in chapter 3, as it was in chapter 1. You're like, oh, why did this happen? Why did this happen? It comes in chapter 2. Why did this happen in chapter 2? It comes in chapter 3. So all of the gaps that you found, they will be in chapter 3. But I definitely ask all of you, go watch it again. I'm losing my voice. I think I have spoken a lot. I'm too excited for this. Okay, so Rocky entry scene, amazing. Adira entry scene, the way he was holding that, and giving his dialogue, it was really chills. Adira versus Rocky fight scene, it was awesome. Also, another thing is that why would Adira not kill Rocky? Many people have that question. Well, because Adira wanted to show everybody that Rocky is just a man. He's not a god. And then he wanted to break the spirits and the faith of the people who were looking at Rocky as a savior. So he wanted to break everybody's spirits. So he wanted to send a message. Now, you may say, oh, but that's not logical. Okay, in your point of view, it may not be. But in Prashant Neel's idea was that Adira wanted to humiliate Rocky, and he wanted to break the spirits of KGF because many people believed that Rocky was the savior. So that's why Adira did not let Rocky die at that moment when he was caught. And that was also a moment that we needed to see Rocky become humble and, understand that he isn't this he is a human, right? So it reset his character. But in any case, when you watch this movie with passion and you understand that all of the questions that you have in this one will be answered in the next one, then you don't question it. Remember when I talked about the woman with the bean? You just remove the bean and continue your date. Stop thinking about what happened, your first impression. Move past that and then go and watch the movie, right? The rest of the movie. So when I watched this, I posted on Twitter, I said I had mixed feelings, and I'll explain what I meant by that. When I said I had mixed feelings about the story, it meant that I liked the way Prashant Neel told his story, but I immediately understood that if he had told the story of the savior, I think foreigners would associate more with it. But then again, this movie is not for foreigners. This movie is for, Indians. But I really, in my heart, wanted this to be a pan-world movie where foreigners would watch this associated with KGF Chapter 1. Because it's very hard for a foreigner to accept, the negatives of a movie. You see that many movies flop because of one small thing. There's actually a very nice movie that I watched with Nicolas Cage, and because of one scene, one small details, people didn't like it. Like, for example, Tenet, Inception, many people don't appreciate it. They don't really understand it. And Inception is one of my most, it's one of my favorite movies. It's one of the movies I really liked, A Dream Within a Dream. People find it confusing. People didn't like, a lot of things in that, but I really enjoyed it because I can associate with, I have had this layers of dream in the past. In any case, there are many movies that are not successful in the US, but it becomes super successful outside because people love the story, the emotion, people love the fact. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, but people love the way movies are made, and they can get past the technicalities, they can get past the gaps or anything like that. So I think when you watch this movie, you have to have a little bit of maturity to understand that not all the answers are in chapter 2. You can never judge a cake by the amount of flour that is in the bowl. Okay? Remember that. You can only judge the cake after it is finished out of the oven. So you can never say, oh, this cake looks small, this cake looks big. You don't know what's going to happen inside there. It can grow, it can fall. So never talk about something before it's finished. Never judge a book by its cover, right? We're only in chapter 2. We haven't seen chapter 3 yet. We should only criticize the story itself after we know the full extent of the story. There's a different narrator. Information is mixed up. That's what you need to think when you're watching it. As a matter of fact, if you just watch it for the story and you ignore the achievements of this movie, then you'll probably not be satisfied, because it's like a series. You have to watch it all. But I think it's very unfair if you say this movie is bad. Maybe it's not to your taste, but guys, it's an impressive movie. It's an awesome movie. It has many action scenes with amazing visuals, amazing music, amazing everything in it is awesome. And the fact that it has a mid-credit scene, many people stood up and left after the movie finished, but I was like, no, I know there's something more. So I sat until the very end, because I knew that this is a revolutionary movie. Unfortunately, many foreigners didn't understand how to watch it. But man, I really enjoyed it. I really had a fun time watching it. I did want more people screaming in my session. There were people screaming and whistling, but I wanted more. I wanted it to be more festive, I shouted sometimes, but I felt like, it would be weird because people don't know how much I watch Indian movies, so they would look at me, what are you doing? Okay, let me see if I missed anything else. The acting was nice. I really enjoyed the fact that Rocky was playing like a villain, especially when he went berserk. Sanjay Dutt was also incredible. And, Rocky has this thing that when he walks into the room, he can say anything and it sounds epic. So he has this presence, he is Rocky. It's not a character. He is Rocky. When you look at Yash, you're like, he's Rocky, Reena, I really wanted Reena to be more loving in this movie. I really wanted Reena to be more involved with Rocky, but I think if they went that route, the movie would lose a little bit of its action-packed status, But I think they put enough of Reena. But my taste would be a little bit more. But I think what they did was amazing. It was something that happened because it had to happen, But I'm still not convinced that it's reality. I don't know. Maybe my brain still thinks that it might be a dream, or it might be a miscommunication with the narration. What else? Guys, 4.5 out of 5 is enough for me, I think. I think it's a movie that you need to watch again, and I believe that many of the scenes of the movie will be out there. Now, the question that many of you may be asking is KGF 1 or KGF 2? I think they are two different movies. I think KGF 1 was a build up. It was the foundation. It was the first of its kind. It had emotion, it had comedy, it had action, it had the bun scene, it had, it had a lot of emotional moments where Rocky was giving you life lessons. So I think KGF Chapter 1 for me and my family is more appreciated. I think I would give that a higher rating, a 4.8 out of 5. But KGF Chapter 2, although it didn't have all the emotions, it had emotion, but it wasn't life lessons. It wasn't like, you know, the connection with his mother was there, but it was more of a strong woman, a strong mother. It wasn't as much, especially because in KGF Chapter 1, we saw him as a child a lot more. We saw him in KGF Chapter 1, we saw him as a child, how he became, how he wanted to show people his name. My name is Rocky, don't forget it. The way he made a brand, we had epic dialogue like Rocky since 1951. We had all of these dialogues that made KGF a brand, okay? We had him with the bun scene giving a lesson about the mother is the greatest warrior. We had the scene where he remembers his mother giving him lessons, his mother hugging him with rain pouring on her back. So I think KGF Chapter 1 is beautiful because we can see the foundation of Rocky. We can see him growing. We can see him glowing. We can see him, becoming the man he is. KGF Chapter 2 was all about dominance. We could see his power. There were a few scenes that had, a little bit of emotion, but we didn't see a lot more emotion. So I think Chapter 1 would be a more family-friendly movie. I like it more than Chapter 2. Sorry. But I think Chapter 2 is also very good in terms of achievements, in terms of quality, in terms of production. We can see a ship, air, ocean. We can see the jets, the machine guns. We can see very epic action scenes. So I think KGF Chapter 1 is all about the foundation, and Chapter 2 is all about the achievements and the breakthroughs and the dominance. Oh, another scene that I was so excited to see was that KGF was a gold mine. And then what Rocky did to it, it became a city. It became, wow. When I saw that, I was like, yo, amazing. Also, Adira, he was ruthless. He killed so many innocent people. He killed so many criminals as well. And the fact that he killed people without the guns. Well, he used the guns, but with no bullets because he had a headache. All of these things made Adira ruthless, made him, a heartless creature. And of course, the fact that he shot a pregnant woman. I mean, how much more ruthless can you get, right? So I think this movie was more about violence, dominance, and power, superiority. It was more about the swag. So honestly, I don't think my wife would like this movie because of all the violence in it. She watched John Wick and she was like, Chapter 2, I think, Part 2 of John Wick. She enjoyed it, but many scenes that she covered up. And also, she loves Rena. She doesn't know what's gonna happen in the movie, so I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong. Maybe she's gonna love it. You know what? I actually am very curious to know if you're a woman watching this, or if you know a woman that went with you Do you think women will like the nature of KGF Chapter 2? Because I think that it had a lot more violence, and normally some women, at least Western women, don't like action movies like that. So I don't know. I have my mixed feelings because of that. I don't know if she's gonna enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it. I'm sure she's gonna be very impressed. She's gonna love it, but I don't know if she's gonna, you know, she loves Rina, you know, and I think KGF Chapter 2 is more of a man's type of movie. Fighting, explosions, CGI, action scenes, all of that violence going on. Like, for example, Rambo. My wife would never watch Rambo. I don't know. So I think, in my opinion, KGF Chapter 1 was better than KGF Chapter 2 in terms of story, emotion, connection with his mother. And KGF Chapter 2 was better than KGF Chapter 1 in terms of production value, in terms of goosebumps, in terms of chills, in terms of emotion. Not emotion as in the connection with his mother, but the dialogues, the swag. So it depends on what I'm in the mood for. So I can't tell you which one is better, but if I was to take a friend, depends on the friend, of course. This is tough. This is very tough. But I don't know. I think it. Okay, here's the big deal. I think it's easier for me to write a KGF Chapter 1 rap than a KGF Chapter 2 rap. I was watching the movie and I was thinking, wow, how can I make a song about this? It's all action, and of course I can use some dialogues, but I think KGF Chapter 1 was easier to write because KGF Chapter 2 has a lot of layers within it. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna watch it again and try to find something. Do you guys want a KGF Chapter 2 rap? Let me know in the comments. Wow, I have spoken so much, but I was so excited to talk about this movie. I really want to watch it again. I thought it was amazing, and I gave you my honest opinion. I was very open to what I think. Of course, I'm not the master of knowledge. I just give you what I think, and I just provide what I feel. I'm not right about everything. I don't want to be right. I'm just saying, in my perspective, this is what I thought of the movie. Okay, and I hope you guys enjoyed my full movie reaction. Let me know if you agree to some points, and of course, guys, it was a very fast-paced movie. I had to read the subtitles. I think I understood it to the best of my ability, but of course there are some things that I might have missed. If you guys know anything that I might have missed, or if I might have not, if there's something that I did not mention, let me know in the comments. And guys, if somebody says that they don't like KGF, just ignore them, okay? It's a different taste. Some people like spicy food, some people like sweet food. The thing that I ask is that everybody respect each other's opinion. Okay, don't go saying it's bad. Maybe it's bad for you, but it's nice for the other person. I can, if you come to my country and you say, I don't like this food, I respect it. But if you go out and tell everybody, I hate this food and don't eat this food, come on, it's a totally different thing. It's a totally different thing. You may not like it. Okay, that's good. But telling everybody else not to eat it, if I own a restaurant and I give you some food, if you don't like it, it's okay. I'll bring you something else. But if you stand up and you say, this is, I don't know. If you say this is bad to everyone else, don't eat at this restaurant, that is disrespectful because people actually like this, okay? So it's okay if you don't like it. I know that some people were commenting that they prefer RRR over KGF. Honestly, I think RRR is a completely different movie. RRR is a very uplifting movie. and KGF is a very violent movie. So if I had to take my family to watch a movie, I would choose RRR, no question. I'm never gonna take my mother to watch KGF Chapter 2. It's too violent. She wouldn't understand it. But if I took her to watch RRR, Triple R, she would love it. The music, the dancing, you know, of course there's a little bit of violence, but still, it has more jolliness to it. While KGF Chapter 2 is very violent, you know. So guys, it's okay to like a movie more than the other. Okay, it's okay. It's not hate. It's not any negative review. So please respect each other's opinion. Don't fight in the comments. You know, don't hate other movies. Love all the industries. Love all the movies. Okay. RRR, KGF Chapter 2. I haven't watched Beast, so I can't talk about Beast. But what other movie have I recently watched? Anyways, all of these movies that are coming from India, you should be proud of them because it's an Indian movie. Okay? All of these are from India. And they're doing a great job. I can see a very bright future and I'm very excited for it. Anyways, guys, that's my 51-minute movie review with all the details that I could remember. Of course, I could stay here for 3 hours talking about this. But frankly, I don't remember anything else I wanted to talk about it. I think that's all I wanted to talk about it. Let me look at the characters and maybe I'll remember something. So we talked about Rocky, Reena, Adira. Oh, Ramika Sen, amazing. She was insane in you know, as the Prime Minister. We talked about everybody, I guess. You know, one of my favorite dialogues was the CEO of India. That was nice. That was nice. Yeah, I wanted to see Rocky as a child more. The actor was Master Anmol. Yeah, guys, I think that's it. I think that's it. Oh, also, Rocky said he killed Virat, right? But I don't remember seeing that scene. I don't think he killed Virat. I think he's protecting Virat because Virat informed... Well, he didn't inform, but he killed his own father to help Rocky reach KGF, you know, in time. No, wait. To avoid people reaching Rocky and KGF. So I heard them say he killed Virat, but I didn't see it. So anything that I did not see, I do not believe. Okay, that's my my motto. Like in Brazil, we have an expression that the guy killed the snake, right? But he has to show me the stick. If you tell me you killed a steak, show me the stick. It's an expression. I don't know what it means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't understand why we say it. I mean, you could have showed the snake, right? Not the stick. But it's anyways. So here are my theories. I think Rocky is protecting Virat because Virat became the good guy. Kamal died prematurely, in my opinion. I didn't want to see Kamal die like that. I thought, you know, of course, it was a cool move, but I think it just showed that Rocky was, you know, he wasn't being himself. I actually wanted to see Kamal more, especially because he was protecting Reena's integrity. So, you know, I don't think it's kind of like that scene from Star Wars where Harrison Ford, did he shoot the guy who was innocent? You know, who shot first? So I don't know. I thought that Yash killing him unarmed, harmless, trying to protect Reena's integrity, even though he called him, you know, my girl, he said my girl, it irritated Rocky. So, but I don't think he should have killed Kamal. Especially because Kamal didn't kill him in chapter 1 because he said he was going to El Dorado, right? But that's my opinion as well. I accept what Prashant Neil did there. I accept it, and I thought it was a good move, the direction he took. But what else? There wasn't a kind of like a, you know, like in KGF chapter 1, there was a scene where there was a lady singing in the bar. Be ambitious? No. Be cautious. Be cautious. There wasn't a scene like that, right? Which, what do you guys call it? You call it a, what do you call it? I forgot. An insert song. Is that what you call it? Insert song? I don't feel like there was one. Anyways, Deepa Hedge or Hegde, also good job. Yeah, I think that's all for now. And the plot twist at the end, also, I mean, you guys know that Adira was only the puppet, right? There were strings being pulled within, and it was right next to Rocky. So it was an interesting plot twist. I think I've spoken about everything that I have said. I have spoken about everything I have said. Oh, amazing. That's when you know you need to finish the video. Nagaraju, the guy who said monster, he looked different. I think he lost weight or he cut his hair or something, but he looked different. But it's nice that he reappeared. But yeah, I think I talked about everything and everyone. Yeah, I think so. What was your favorite scene? Let me know in the comments down below. Guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm sorry for talking too much, but you know, when I'm passionate about something, I talk a lot about it. And let me know what you rated KGF from 0 to 5 in the comments. Of course, you can say 5 out of 5, but I really want to know like your honest opinion, because I could easily say 5 out of 5. I loved it, but let's be real and honest. You can say 5 out of 5 if you thought it was really perfect with no flaws, or you can say, don't be afraid or don't be shy to say the truth and be honest. Okay. I think that's it. Guys, I've been here for an hour. I'm also going to give you a secret password. If you have watched it this far, write in the comments hashtag KGF2rap. Okay, so if you watched this far, the keyword is KGF rap. Hashtag KGF2rap. And then I'll know that you watched it until this moment. Okay. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. See you soon.